Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the what the hell is this? This is the 11th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we are going to talk about something called type conversion. Now, what is type conversion? I just had to Google it, before recording this tutorial because I had no idea about it myself, and now I do know a little bit about it, so I'm going to talk about it. And well, if you have an integer variable in your program, and if you try to assign to it a floating point value, then that's a crazy thing to do, right? And likewise, if you have a floating point variable in your program and if you try to assign to it an integer value, that's also a crazy thing to do. Now, what happens when you do such things? Obviously, you can do things like this for fun, intentionally, or just because you want to test, see whether it's an efficient language or not. So or maybe you actually want to solve a problem, or serve a purpose by doing such things. So anyway, the reason could be anything. You just need to know what happens when you do such things. So you can see that I've saved a file, and the file is called type_conversion.c. On line 1 I have a header file, on line 2 I have the main function, I have my curly braces in place, so we can type in some code. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create two variables, and one of them is going to be an integer, the other one's going to be a float, and I'm going to call my integer A, I'm going to call my float B. Let's keep the names short and simple. And knowing that A is an integer and it's supposed to have integer values, I'm still going to give it a floating point value. And I'll give it, what value should I give it? 7.8 would be good. And I'm going to give an integer value to B, knowing that B is a floating point variable and it can hold floating point values. I'm still going to give it an integer value. So instead of giving a value like 150.97654, I'm just going to give it a value of 150, right? And let me display the values that actually get stored in the variables before talking about what happens. That would make more sense, and we always do that. So I'm going to use printf, and the first printf statement I'm going to use to display the value that gets stored in A. So A equals, and since I'm displaying an integer value, I'll use the %d format specifier, put a comma, and then type in A. And the next printf statement I'm going to use to display the value that gets stored in B. So let me put in the new line escape sequence there because we want this output on a fresh line. And B equals %f, because B is of float data type, it belongs to float data type, and I'll type in B there, put a semicolon to terminate this statement. I'll save the file and I'll click on build and run. You see the output, and you see that A equals 7 and not 7.8, and B equals 150 point a bunch of zeros, and that's not what you typed in your program. This is not the value that you assigned B. So what has happened here is that the integer has been promoted to a float, and the float has been demoted to an integer. And well, to make things simple, you try to assign a value of 7.8 to A, but C figured that A is of the integer data type and 7.8 is a floating point value, so it started wondering, okay, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing this to me? And there's a container that can hold integer values, and you're trying to put in it a floating point value, and C obviously is smart enough to know that that's not right. So what it has done is it is just stored the value 7 in it, and it has ignored the 0.8 part, thinking that okay, maybe something's wrong with you and you need to get yourself tested. And meanwhile, I'll just store the value 7 in the container. And when it came to this operation, now B is a floating point variable and you're trying to store in it an integer value, but since B is capable of holding more stuff, C figured that okay, again, there's something wrong with you and you're just messing with me, and I'll do a smart job of storing 150 with a decimal point and a bunch of zeros after that in the variable B. So the floating point value 7.8 has been demoted to the integer value 7, and the integer value 150 has been promoted to the floating point value 150.0000000, so 6 zeros I see here. And well, this is what type conversion is. Now, this is implicit type conversion. Like, this is something that C has done automatically without asking you. You can also force type conversion, and that is called explicit type conversion. And we're going to talk about explicit type conversion, maybe later on in this course. But in this tutorial, I just wanted to give you guys a glimpse of what C does in the background if you do such crazy things. And or maybe this is not too crazy, it's just me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one, in which we'll discuss another feature of the C language. So thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing to my channel.